Welcome, wandering souls and lost sailors, to the Ship of the Dead podcast.
Ahoy, mateys! Welcome aboard the Ship of the Dead podcast. Today I'm joined with a very special team, Morbidware, and we've got Johan from the Stockholm Cartel. These guys are here. They're making something that I'm so excited is coming into the world, the Mörk Borg Heresy Supreme video game. Diego, Misbug, Johan, welcome aboard.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How are things going? How is the campaign? How is development? Are you guys excited? Are you nervous? How are you feeling?
Well, a lot of emotions all together, I think. For the development, we are just working on the troll combat system. So we are dealing with some animations right now, and also I'm working on the quest system and dialogue system, so random events and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting and exciting at this time.
We all have bad days at work, right? And I feel like whenever I have a bad day at work, I just have to remember that the answer to your question just now was I'm working on the troll combat system. I mean, like,
I was just about to say that's a good thing.
Pretty cool thing to have happen, you know.
And also for the campaign, we're currently very, very close to funding, which is
so close. It's probably likely that you guys will be funded by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
Yes, cross our fingers. Yes. Okay, so can we do like around the circle? Because I don't really know the two of you that well. Can you tell me about Morbidware, your background, how you guys got started, how big the team is, and like what you guys do on the team?
Yeah, we are two lone dogs. We are both developers as freelance, and we are from the Italian community, which is not very big. So we get to know each other really well. And we participated in lots of game jams together, me and Giuseppe, me and Misbug. So in the years we got along, and then a few years ago we started developing our first project together, which is pretty crazy project. It was a game about an exorcist, and it was a typing game mixed with a bullet hell. So you had to dodge bullets and type exorcism at the same time. It was pretty crazy, and it was a short project, not big as this one, but it turned out to be very good. So after a few years, we started with a new project, and that's where Mörk Borg comes into play.
Okay, cool. We're going to get to that story for sure. How about you, Miss Bug?
I've been working as a freelance game artist and game designer for the last 17 years or so. I like doing global game jams and game jams. Now that I'm older, it's harder to stay awake for more than 48 hours in a straight line. So I'm not doing global game jams and video game jams anymore, but I still love the community of developers, of the indie developers, and I like to stay in touch with all the Italian developers and also developers from abroad, because this is the place where I met Diego and other fantastic people with whom I collaborated in the past. And when we worked on Texorcist, which Diego mentioned already, we found out that we were a really good team altogether. So we decided to create more games together. We did a few smaller projects, like stuff that could be developed in a week time or so. But one day we just decided, why don't we create something bigger, something, full feature game? That's when Mörk Borg appeared, and we decided to try to pitch the idea to Johan and Pelle. They were excited about the idea, and here we are now.
Yeah. So before we dive into the history of the Mörk Borg Genesis, if you will, like, how do you guys divide your responsibilities? Is like one of you an art guy and the other a coding guy, or do you guys both do both?
Well, we are pretty different. I mean, I'm the code guy, he's the art guy. I really cannot put my hands on something like he does. And I guess he's not able to code a single line of code. But
hey. That's not true. I can type a few letters.
At the same time, I think we pretty much understand each other really well. We are on the same page always, and the design is shared. I mean, all the ideas, the tricks, the game design, and everything is shared, and we do it together. For example, we could start from the art part to make an attack or a skill or something, or we may start from a mechanic I'm suggesting, and then we create the animations for that. So it's pretty horizontal in this way, the game design part.
Nice.
That's kind of interesting because that's essentially how me and Pelle work in the books. Like you can start in either direction and we sort of blend into each other's areas a bit.
Yeah, it's actually really similar.
Yeah, it's like the same. Yeah, it just works.
I suppose it's because of game jams. Because during game jams, you have a short amount of time and you have to create a complete project at the end. So it makes sense to not have a starting point from a design standpoint, and you basically start with an idea and then you see what people can offer to make that idea become reality. So me and Diego are used to this type of workflow, and we are actually pretty fast in that regard.
Are the jams that you two have done usually online only, or do you guys get together?
No, they are physical. They are in presence. So
I thought,
yeah. We spend 48 hours together with 100 people and
endless amounts of Red Bull and pizza.
And only one toilet around. And like that.
It's going to smell like Galgenbeck in that place.
I mean, up until that comment, I was like, maybe you should do that for tabletop games as well.
Yeah. Can you imagine like 30 RPG creators? Actually, I don't know. I think that'd be actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, maybe people do that already.
Let's talk. Have your people call my people. Let's make it happen, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just take 24 hours or more 48 hours and just sit down.
Yeah, actually, we've talked a lot about doing we don't have a name for it yet, but like a dark con, like get all the like dark, Mörk Borg adjacent OSR creators together. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And then we make a game out of it. Let's spend this podcast talking about that instead.
Okay, so you know what? Screw the video game. So day one of DarkCon,
To be honest, during Global Game Jam, you can actually even make board games or role-playing games. There's a lot of people that do all types of games.
Are they invite only?
No. But you have to get a ticket and.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we sell tickets.
There we go.
This is working great. We use that to fund the sequel to this video game. I'm into that.
Yeah, the tickets are to pay the pizza for everyone usually.
So. That's not a bad idea. That's a great idea. I like the idea that it's like self-funding, Okay, so let's talk about the origin. And we kind of touched on it, but like clearly you guys saw something in this game in the tabletop version of Mörk Borg that reached out to you. Like, how did the genesis of this relationship start? Did you guys just like send an email, or did you like run into each other somewhere?
Kind of both.
Yeah, kind of. We basically were internally pitching ideas for a new game that we were going to do. And the Mörk Borg manual appeared in our hands, and we thought it was perfect for creating a roguelike experience, a video game that can be also translated into an action RPG, not just classical RPG games you can see with, Baldur's Gate or the original Fallout series. So we started creating a prototype because we are crazy.
No, you're not. That's how you win the pitch, man. You come out of the gate. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm into it.
Let's say the normal thing to do is to ask the people that own the license, we are thinking about doing this product.
Not for this one, man.
Yeah, not for this one.
To add into this, I'm assuming this affects your story, but like Mörk Borg has the best license in the industry. So like hypothetically, you probably could have got kind of far
Don't tell them.
without any info. Oh no, it's better to have the stamp. But I'm just saying that it's not a total risk.
No, exactly. I guess you sort of thought that maybe we would be positive about it because we have generally a kind of positive view on the hacks and the third party stuff and bringing other creators in. I guess I can say that, the pitch wasn't that difficult.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe it was for you, I don't know. But immediately when you guys showed us the stuff, we were like, hell yeah.
But like, how many hours were you guys in before you decided to like reach out?
A few months, actually.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
Like 4 months or something like that, because we wanted to do a lot of research on the style and create a basic design document to pitch the right idea to Johan and Pelle. And also, to be honest, at the very beginning, this game was going to be a video game inspired by Mörk Borg. Then Diego and Matteo had the idea of like, why don't we actually do a Mörk Borg game? And then we shifted into creating an actual game that looks like something that was directly inspired by the original handbook. So
Yeah, I mean, this is probably a whole other topic, but I think one of the things that's so exciting about this project is that, if it was a Borg, you could get the theme, maybe it's yellow and black, but like now you've got the classes and like the music, like even in the trailer, I'm just like, dude, I'm going to kill so many goblins while this like doom metal is just smashing through. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about that. Okay, I want to read this intro that you guys at the top of the Kickstarter, just because I feel like it really grabs what this game is.
Borg. Heresy Supreme is a doom metal action RPG set in the world of Borg. Wretched anti-heroes explore a side-scrolling, semi-procedural, grim, dark fantasy world, searching for a way to prevent the apocalypse or make the suffering worse. Shut up and take my money.
Like, I love this pitch. I have a question, though, because it says searching for a way to prevent the apocalypse. Is that actually possible in game?
I mean, one can dream, right?
This is top secret information.
Fools will try anything they might grasp after, so nothing is guaranteed.
Okay, keep your secrets, Johan. I see how it is.
I don't know. I don't mean, who knows? The basilisk only whisper of these things.
Fair.
And also, you don't know if preventing the apocalypse doesn't bring something even worse.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like now everyone's alive and they really wish the world was over.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the end of the world. It's worse.
I like that. Yeah. So we just finished a big Pirate Borg West Marches campaign. And in Pirate Borg, the world ends, of course, in a very different way. But all our GMs wanted to keep running. So they are now running post-apocalypse. And I'm like, oh, no, this is even worse. Do not do this. I imagine it'd be the same kind of thing for you guys. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the lore, because I feel like while Borg is so inspirational with the amount of lore, but also lack of lore that it gives, are you guys going to take it a step further? Are you guys working together to flesh out what is in these places? If you go to Sarkash, is there any kind of official, hey, this might actually be there? Or is it the Morbidware team is on its own? That kind of thing. Can you tell us about the lore?
From our side, we always pass by Noir to approve everything and to get some ideas and what's correct to do and what's not. Also, our adventures play in a procedural way, so they are randomly generated in some parts and not totally, but this means we have a number of events, situations, different situations that can happen, and we must be super sure about the lore and if we are doing things correctly, because this is pretty hard with random things. The content is a lot in this case. It's not like a single player adventure, so this put us in front of many different things and much content, so we have to definitely pass by this approval process.
I think there's people who know and have played or read Mörk Borg will recognize everything in this, all the places and monsters and entities and all the the lore that has been hinted at. Not all of it, but a lot of it will be happening here as well, or you will recognize a lot of the things, and it will sort of fit and it will make sense anyway. It will fit into the tabletop game.
I think my question behind the question is are we going to get more lore? Is there going to be more stuff here for the people who are rabid about the world?
For sure, Johan is helping us to create monsters as well. So probably you will see some stuff which is directly created by Johan. Of course, I will draw it and animate it. Diego's going to create the mechanics and the code for the game, but the inspiration is Johan. And probably some of these monsters will end up in the manual that we are creating as a reward for the campaign. And they will not be only explained like a video game feature, but there will be also stats for playing those monsters in Mörk Borg campaign. So
essential. Yeah. Well, that's clutch.
So the game manual, which every game should have, but they don't have anymore. The game manual.
Oh, it's actually a manual. When you said manual,
it's going to be a physical manual. Yeah, like a physical game manual for the game that explains the video game. But it will also have role-playing game stuff in it. So you can run the stuff.
You're right, because back in the day, those video game things were you wouldn't get the story at all unless you read the manual. It was literally part of the experience. Yeah. I love that you're doing that. That's very
it's cool. Also this is, I'm not going to go into exact details, but this is the controls, or this is how these things work and stuff like that. because everyone loves manuals. And also I think as for the lore and stuff in the world, you will see some of the places and the locations in the world visualized in a way that's like from our eyes at least. So like, the city of Galgenbeck perhaps, and Sargash. And
a very important thing for us is to not betray the Morkborg community by twisting certain informations about the lore or providing false informations about the lore. What we are trying to do is to basically do the same thing that Johan and Pelle did with the original game. We will create content, but we will not spoil things. We'll just give you hints, and then you can create your own narrative or story behind the lore.
It kind of reminds me of like, remember back in the 90s when they would make action figures for a TV show or something, and like the action game company would make all these weird jumps just to make more products. Like I remember like the Aliens line was like, oh, there's a gorilla alien, and there's like, dude, screw you, man. There's only one kind. I love that you're sticking to like the official
entire Transformers thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, Transformers is like toys first, right?
Also, I want to remember you that there's a question mark on the map of the original book, so there's a lot to uncover there.
I mean, of course, there's always room. This just showed up. Obviously, I had the PDF, but this is Tefronic Nightmares just showed up, and like that whole book is like, hey, the first Morkborg campaign setting happens nowhere mentioned in the book. It happens like totally on a different part of the map. Like often, that's so you got the license to do it, but
and also I don't want, like me and Pelle, I think we established that earlier. Like we don't want to come in later and be like, here's the official take on this place. Like now you can't, like all your homebrew is just screw that. No, we don't want to come in and say what's right and wrong.
It's very cool. It's very like almost like a collaborative experience. Let's talk a little bit about, in the D&D world, we often talk about Appendix N from the first Dungeon Master's Guide, which was Gary Gygax's like influences or like suggested reading. So I always like to ask creators what their Appendix Ns are. So like what other books, movies, video games especially were influences for this? We obviously see the Darkest Dungeon and Dark Souls influence, but what are the ones that are maybe like below the surface that we might not know that you guys grew up playing or have seeped their way into this game?
Well, for me, the inspirations are quite different from this game, but they inspire me by the mood or something else. One game that I really like for some aspects is Fear and Hunger. I don't know if you have played that. It's a very unfortunate game. Everything goes really, really bad every time, but at the same time, I like that mood. But that game, it doesn't want you to succeed in playing. Okay, it doesn't want you to really have fun while doing it. So that's a kind of inspiration. But in Morkborg, in Heresy Supreme, we want to have fun, like we have fun while dying in Morkborg. So we want to make death fun in a way and not frustrating. And so that's one inspiration. The other one may be, for example, Super Metroid, the one of the Super SNES era, because that's one of the games I play every year. And I really like the setting, the mood, the exploration and everything like that. And another personal inspiration is Devil Daggers, which is an arena shooter, very dark, very with a specific sound design that's very experimental.
Can you say the title of that one again?
Devil Daggers.
Devil Daggers.
Yeah, it's an arena shooter where you have only to survive for 500 seconds, but it's something that took me more than 300 hours to finish. Wow. So I really like the mechanics in that game, and that's an inspiration. But I told you about 3 games that are not really like our game. I still draw my inspiration from those titles.
Talking about Super Metroid, I feel like, I'm assuming like Castlevania as well. Is that?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I feel like, especially Super Metroid, it does that really cool thing where like, hey, there's a door here. You can't open it now. You don't have the thing, but it does it in not like in an RPG way, like go find the key. It's like, you don't have the tool for this. You don't know how to roll yet, you know? Is there stuff like that in Heresy Supreme?
Yeah, definitely. There will be quests. So you'll find doors, let's say doors. You'll need some items. Maybe you don't have the item. You have to go to another location. So play another adventure, find the item, go back to the first location. But the game is not linear. I mean, I don't want you to go from level 1 to level 6 in a line, in a straight line. So you have all locations open based on what you know, what you discovered, and who you talk to in Galgenbeck, for example. And then on the map, you find a number of locations. And from there, you start the exploration. So it's not linear.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I don't want to pivot too far from the Appendix N question, but I do have to ask. Clearly, we get the side scroll action style of combat RPG or combat game, if you will. Are there other modes where you have like a map view of Galgenbeck, or you can move to different places on the map? Or like how are you navigating that from a UX experience?
You mean the navigation from Galgenbeck is like the central hub of the game. So you start from there and you go back there every time an adventure ends. So every level.
When you're in Galgenbeck, can you go to like, oh, I want to go to this region of Galgenbeck, or I want to go to this shop?
We haven't designed that part yet, but the idea is to have the Galgenbeck part to be an hub where you have different locations that you can enter in and explore the functionalities of those buildings, like a place where you meet the new travelers, a place where you find quests, the shop, and all that stuff. We don't know if we are going to have like a proper map, like you have Darkest Dungeon, so you just see the buildings, you click on them, or you actually have the character that walks through.
That was literally my next question. Is it Darkest Dungeon or is it Zelda? You know, are you like walking into it? You know,
it will probably something in between. We haven't decided how to actually visualize that, because the most important thing for us when you are in Galgenbeck is to not get bored with chores. So the idea is, if it's less time consuming and less boring just having a map with locations, then we do that. If we want to add stuff that is more interesting in the way, like you walk and you find, I don't know, a beggar that can attack you. If that's fun and shows up as a good opportunity to give some new mechanics to the player, we can follow that path. But that part, the managerial part, is still under development, so we haven't decided.
I think it's also a balance between, like, as you said, time and also flavor in a way, and like vibes. Because that's one thing. Like, if you have only the map, maybe that's very efficient and like objectively time efficient and maybe more fun. But if you walk around like in Zelda, maybe that's more vibey and like you can get the rain and the vibes. But maybe it takes longer and in the end it's more boring. So
we discussed this with a game in mind, which is Dragon's Crown. I don't know if you ever played it. Basically, there's an hub that you have to visit before exploring the different playable levels, and it's just like a short street in this big city, and you have all the doors that give you access to the shop, the cathedral, or whatever. And then you enter there, you have just a graphics for the room with the character in it.
The one I was thinking of, have you guys played Child of Light?
No.
It's a side-scrolling, very pretty side-scrolling RPG. Turn-based. There's no like overview maps. There's a town, and like the town, you can go in this building or this building or this building, and you can side scroll off the left or right to go a different part of the town, or then you can leave, you know, and that might be a cool way to do it.
Oh yeah, I do remember the game. Yeah.
That's kind of what you're describing. Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. I think to what Johan said though, it's like the vibe is really important. If you do an isometric, very cleanly drawn city map, like maybe something you'd see in like Baldur's Gate or something, like that's not going to feel like Mörk. You have to make it fit the vibes. Yeah.
That's something that at least, I mean, we talk a lot about, like the feeling and the mood and how we get that into every single choice somehow. Just like we do in the tabletop game. Like everything has to feel gritty and muddy and rainy and shitty somehow.
Yes, absolutely.
Like every single item.
It's a prerequisite.
It is, yeah.
Okay, let's touch back to the Appendix N question. I want to get your answer, Miss Bug. Games, movies, books, things that have inspired you as a developer, but specifically this game, besides the ones that we would obviously pick out.
There's so many.
Well, I mean, if you want to rapid fire them, I'm down. Basically, I'm just like farming for cool things to check out right now.
Let's go with video games that inspired me throughout my career and that I think are useful somehow for this project. Fallout 1 and 2, the original Fallout, and probably games like Don't Starve, Darkest Dungeon, of course. But The Binding of Isaac also.
I'm sorry, can you say that one again?
The Binding of Isaac.
The Binding of Isaac, okay.
Let's say that this game, one thing in common which is if you fail, you don't feel frustrated, but you are incentivized to keep playing the game. They all give you the idea that the catastrophe or the tragedy or the drama in the game is something interesting or funny that you want to experience again by playing the game. And this is one of the hardest thing that we are trying to achieve with Heresy Supreme, because in a way it's how you actually play the tabletop version of the game.
It's interesting. I just started playing Elden Ring, and I feel like that game, it does that really well, where you're like, this isn't that hard after you've gone through 10 hours of training. You know, after you fought in this monster 20 times, oh, it's not that hard, but it's so hard at first. I feel like that's kind of seems like what you're pitching at here, in that like combat is going to be brutal and you're going to have to learn how to do it. So is it going to be like a muscle memory kind of thing, or a smarts kind of thing, or a combination?
Yeah, it's a more strategic approach. So basically, instead of having, quick movements and fast-pacing combat, what you do is like, we give you time to plan your strategy against one or more enemies. The reason we decided to go down that path is because we believe that, considering that we are going to have doom metal music in the background, having a fast-pacing action visually on the screen won't really match the music.
Slow and heavy.
Yeah. We're going for the slow and heavy approach. And the only way to do slow and heavy in video games and make it fun is you approach combat in a more strategic way rather than button mashing.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, there's a number of monsters or enemies that play with patterns, more recognizable patterns, while we have other monsters that will behave very differently based on the situation, the distance. So you have to keep your, eyes wide open, because you can face something that's unexpected in that moment. But since the action is kind of slow and heavy, you have time to react. So you have to make some quick decisions, and then you have to adapt, basically.
Also, depending on your class as well, like what your powers are and your strengths and drawbacks and stuff. And
it is real time though, right? I mean, it sounds like everything you're saying is there like a frozen planning step and then it unpauses, or is it just like it goes slow enough that you can pick before the real combat starts?
I mean, it's not frozen, right? It's still live, but it's not like bullet hell hectic.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Right.
That's kind of like if you were actually standing there, you have time to make a decision. Am I gonna, run up the hill? Yeah, I got you. Okay, very cool.
Yeah. There will be moments where the game may pause to let you do some actions, like selecting a scroll or using omens, which we know in the tabletop version of the game lets you secure an attack or avoid some failures. And we are basically doing that also in the game. So basically, you can pause the game for a short amount of time in order to use the omen and maybe improve the chance of your attack.
Or maybe when you have to roll, for example, when you have to roll in all that situations, the game stops basically, and it's much more like turn-based RPG, we could say.
I think this is great because there are so many things from the tabletop game that are just translated in interesting ways, I feel, into the video game. It's like you have the omens and you have the miseries, all the the classes and a lot of the abilities, and it just it works in slightly different ways, but it's still similar. It still does the same end effect, kind of. From my perspective, it's so cool to see how it's just translated into this format.
I thought it was really cool to see there was a ability check in the trailer, right? You have to roll, and I was like, okay, cool. It's not all combat, that's one of the things I love Darkest Dungeon. Everybody who listens to the show knows that. But if there's one thing I don't like about that game, it's if there's any story really other than doing the missions, I have to make it up myself, And I like the idea that there's some element of actual exploration, and of course there's story baked into the game. If you've got Miseries, something's happening. So that's very exciting. Yeah.
There's going to be some story and some, I believe, can I say light RPG elements? So you will have some dialogues and stuff. It's not going to be Baldur's Gate,
I was gonna, you're not going to hire, is it just Wayne June again? It's just all Wayne June plays every NPC.
It's not that. yeah. But there will be choices you can make and some roles, and
that's cool. That's very cool. Well, Johan, I know you've been on before, but can we also touch on your appendix and maybe in more of a video games thing? Like when you are making RPGs and dreaming that someday you would make a video game, what were ones that you were hoping for? Obviously, we've talked about Elden Ring before. What else? I
mean, Elden Ring, of course, and I think Misbug took all of mine because I was about to say like the Binding of Isaac and the original Fallouts. Also, Dead Cells is a really cool game that I like a lot. Like Rogue Legacy, if we're talking like roguelikes and stuff, is really, really cool. I think for this, I played some Blasphemous as well to like just get into the whole the vibe of it. So I think that's really cool and also very difficult. It was difficult to me, at least. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, video games I don't spend, 10 hours a day on them like I did when I was in high school,
No, I used to do that. I was just talking about earlier today. Like I used to be like into World of Warcraft 100%. Like that was my job back in the day. Luckily, I don't do it anymore.
I was somehow lucky enough to never start playing in World of Warcraft. Like I think it's kind of like, it'd be the equivalent of like, it's like that, the commercial where the kids at the party and they're smoking pot in the corner and he's like, I'm better than that. That was me with World of Warcraft. Where I was like,
don't create a character.
I know. Exactly. I like that too much. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, no, I was deep in the shit.
I do want to talk a little bit about the class and I guess like character arc mechanics, if you will. I'm assuming this is a roguelike, and I'm assuming when you die, you're playing a new character. Is that safe to assume? Or like, is it possible that you roll up a character and you're really good and you make it all the way to the end as that character? Does the story reset when you die? Like, are you playing one character? Are you playing a party? Those are the kind of things I'm curious about.
Okay, so we have a party. You may have a party. You can go solo, but still you play with each one separately. Okay, every character is separate. So basically, if you go to adventure with 3 characters in your party, it's like saying you have 3 lives.
Okay.
Because if someone dies, the other one can take on and try to finish the mission. So if the adventure, if everybody dies during the adventure, the game resets and it's game over, and
the whole game resets.
The story changes.
Got it.
Story changes, and something may be the same, some will not. And to talk about the classes play different, especially in a mechanic way. Okay, so the Fanged Deserter, for example, is very slow and hits very hard, while his blows make usually the other characters fall out or they lose their stances for fighting. Okay, while the Scum, which is smaller and quicker, but he doesn't stun enemies just by fighting, okay? But he has much more stamina and can perform evades and dashes and something like that. So we are differentiating every character, every class, also in the feel while you play in the mechanic part.
But you have this gang, so it's kind of like, it's not exactly like the Lost Vikings type game where you sort of switch the characters up, but you have this sort of gang. You can also find and recruit more scum to your party. Some of them might have like ulterior motives and things they want to do and things like that. So there's a bit of an interpersonal drama as well.
And those motivations are like preset by the game, like randomly. They're not ones that you choose.
Randomly, yeah, exactly. So it's like this guy wants this, and so you have to keep that in mind, keep him happy and stuff like that.
So when you're in combat, are there dice being rolled either on the player's side or behind the scenes?
Yes, behind the scenes, yes.
So like, are the characters doing like D4, D6, D8 damage and with a D2, D4 armor soak? That's still happening?
Exactly. Like
cool.
That.
But you don't see, there's no dice like showing up at the bottom of the screen for that because it's a live action, if you will.
Yeah, because you give lots of blows and seeing the die roll every single time could be very, disturbing at some point.
Yeah. No, I don't know that you need to see it, but I love the idea that it's still there. It's not like a Street Fighter where the hit does the same every time. Like there's still a random element,
I mean, the engine is still Mörk Borg in a way.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I also saw in the Kickstarter page, you guys talked about getting better. And I love that. Like, I mean, first off, there's no TTRPG where you can get worse when you get better. But the fact that you've brought that into the video game where your stats might go down. I'm like, dude, this is my fucking game, dude. I'm so down. Okay, I guess, can you talk about how you implemented that?
Just like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We just built a Mörk Borg engine and,
Yeah, basically, yes. It won't be a game based on experience points like Baldur's Gate or other CRPGs. It's
Every RPG ever, yeah.
It's more based on achievements. So each character has its own achievements. If they manage to complete those tasks, they may get better or worse.
Okay.
There will be some perks or quirks that will help you in getting better rather than worse. But that system is basically there as it is. We'll probably have some settings for the player they can use for tweak the difficulty of the game. We are still undecided how to basically do that, but that's something that we can do basically at the end of the development, because once we have the entire game ready, we know how to make an experience more difficult or less difficult for players without affecting the general tone of Mörk.
I'm assuming with early access, you can get statistics back from the game, right?
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
That'll be very important. Like all the data and also the opinions and the voices from the community.
I don't know how closely you guys followed the Darkest Dungeon guys story, but they have a lot of things to say about early access. I remember when they added corpses, it like their entire world imploded. Everybody like, screw this game, So I think you have a very different player base, but
we'll see, because it's kind of like two player bases in a way, like, or there's two like audiences kind of. There's like the tabletop Mörk community, and then there's hopefully like lots of new players that are from the sort of video game community. Ideally, you'll get both views in a way. Maybe people have different ideas.
I mean, I definitely think just the idea of like people discovering it on Steam and then like, wait, this is a real game, and then buying it and then getting into tabletop role playing games. I think that sounds really exciting for both the three of you and Pella, but also that player, right?
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, there's the tabletop game as well based on this.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any, I'm assuming no, but has any third-party stuff creeped in? Has any third-party stuff been an inspiration?
We've been careful with that because like who owns it and stuff. So right now we're focusing on the first party things.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed, but
like it gets messy. I mean, if there's something that we really love, we might reach out to that designer.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking of Unheroic Feats was the first thing that popped into my mind, because there's just so many little things that would add, especially with like the camping skills and stuff. I don't know how much of that's going to be in the game, but I can imagine, this little thing that somebody add, or even like the traveling that's in Ferritory, I think, like that kind of stuff, hunting, that kind of thing.
We might if we see something like that, we might reach out to whoever designed it.
Sure. Can we talk a little bit about Miseries? Because I think obviously it's cool that you built Miseries in. The first question I have is like, what do you expect the average actual real life time will be for a full playthrough? And inside of that, how quickly will Miseries fire off? Sub question, are the Miseries, I'm assuming they're different than the book because some of those won't affect the video game world. Have you written new Miseries?
Well, for example, we have to translate every misery in a code way in its counterpart that feels real in the game. So if you have a misery that's just a narrative, I don't know, it doesn't fit very well in the run. So you have to think about a way to translate every misery in some counterpart in the actual gameplay, and that's a start. From there, at the 7th misery, the game ends. So you won't be able to avoid miseries, but you have to roll to get a misery. And you have to roll every time you go back in Galgenbeck. So we can say every level brings you more near to the end of the world, but that's not guaranteed that a misery will occur. Okay. What you can do maybe is doing some very big sacrifice, so very hard choices to lower the stakes of a misery occurring, but those chances will never be zero. I'd like this game to have a length of like for a one run, like 4 hours to 6 hours if you want to make the longest run. Okay. I don't want to spoil that much about doing more runs, but there's a reason for that. But yeah, I'd like to keep this game short enough so that you can play it again and again, like you will do with Binding of Isaac. And that's my goal, I think. So to keep the gameplay kind of short.
So it's like when you start out as a new player, it's probably likely that you won't even get to very many Miseries because you'll be dying too much, right? And then you'll get better as an actual player, and then you'll start to see like, oh wow, the world is changing. I'm assuming the Miseries will be random like they are in the game. Yeah. So each playthrough will be different, and then it's adios muchachos if you don't, yeah, okay, cool, very cool.
So I think they will greatly affect the game. I hope at least. That's my dream at least, so that you will realize when a misery happens and like, oh, this changes things.
Yeah, I mean, some of them in the book are like they change the like status quo of every minute, and then some of them are like you'll never even encounter them unless the GM puts them in front of your face. Yeah, I'm assuming there are only plans for a single player at the moment. Yeah, because I feel like when you guys get to round 2, Borg the MMORPG, get Johan back in and he's just playing. Except the thing is that your character, you can't get to level 70 in Borg. You're lucky to get to level. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the Forbidden Psalm collab that you guys just announced. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What that's going to be? For those who don't know, Forbidden Psalm is like the skirmish version of Borg. What's the tie-in there going to be?
Okay, so the collaboration will be an extension of the manual we are doing for the game. So there will be more content for Forbidden Psalm.
Like new stuff from the game will make it into Forbidden Psalm, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It will be a really tiny design, like 10 pages, and they will be illustrated by me and the Forbidden Psalm guys.
But I think it does the same thing to Forbidden Psalm as the manual does to Mörk. So it just like takes things from the video game and puts it into that physical game.
Got it. All right, well, let's talk about the thing that we all really want to know about, which is the freaking goat head and the guitar. Okay, can we please? My buddy Shane back at the goat level. I think he plays video games. I mean, I know he's played Elden Ring a little bit, but I think he's more. Oh, yes, here it is. You guys can't see this, listeners, but like I'm looking at how many are there?
There's just one at the moment.
How many will there be in total?
Yeah.
Seven in total. Yeah.
Like I was like, man, I want that so bad, but then I was like, you can see my room here. Like I'm going for more of a old wizard captain's cabin vibe. It's like I don't know where I'm gonna put a bright yellow. So okay, for people who don't know, they all sold out now? I'm assuming.
I think there's 1 or 2 left.
So there is a tier you can back at where you will get an artist cast. It's not 3D printed, right? An artist cast goat head.
It's cast scale 1/1 goat head. It's cast from an actual goat head.
Oh my god!
But it was already dead in the beginning, so there's no animals were harmed.
I would hope you didn't stick a live goat head into a cast.
We did not. No. It was not. But it's 1/1. It's cast in resin and material.
Also, we didn't kill the goat.
We didn't kill the goat. Exactly. So just to be, and it's cast by a Swedish art collective called 2DK that we worked with before, and there's going to be 7 made, and it's painted yellow, and I've spent some time doodling and painting on each and every one of them as well. So it's like it's a sculpture, it's an art object.
Like you're not assembly lining them; they're all going to be different, right?
They're all going to be slightly different. Yeah. Like sweet, they're going to have the same general vibe to them, but they're all each are unique. So
I love that. Are they the same guys who did my Borg middle finger?
They are, yeah. That's the same guys.
Sweet. So, well, how about the guitar? The guitar is a 1 of 1, right?
Yeah.
It's such a crazy thing, but yeah, it's like one of those ideas we had. It's like, wouldn't it be fun if? And then we actually went through with it. So
has music that's going to be in the game been recorded on the guitar?
We haven't thought about that, but
you guys got to fix that. You got to record at least one drone track that's played on that, so you could say it was split.
That's a good idea. No, but it's a custom made, like built from scratch kind of deal. I think.
Yeah.
By an Italian guitar maker.
Overload Guitars.
Yeah. And so there will be some. The person who backed it can have some say in the design of it.
Very cool.
And then I will do the same thing as with the goat head, so just paint and doodle and draw on it as well. So that it will be one of a kind thing that you can play music on.
Yeah, we should FedEx that thing to the Suno guy and Sleep and all the dudes. Get them to sweet.
Hold fast, wretched sailor. We brace for the broadside barrage.
first TTRPG system you ever played?
It was the Call of Cthulhu. It was pretty amazing with the D100 system.
I think it's D&D, the second edition, or the first edition. First edition.
First edition AD&D?
Yeah.
Mutant, Swedish post-apocalyptic game.
Most recent TTRPG system that you've played?
Borg.
Sorry, Johan, but Mothership.
Oh,
no, that's cool.
What's really funny is I actually took my Mothership shirt off to put my Morkborg shirt on today.
Really? Yeah, you know what I did before this? I was prepping a Mothership game. So yeah, shout out to Tuesday Night Games.
Yeah. Sean's going to be on the show soon, so that'll be exciting.
I think my most recent one, I can't remember, it was so long ago that I played. It was probably Mörk as well.
Oh, that's
so predictable, yeah.
Okay, first video game you were ever addicted to?
I think it's probably the Great Jana Sisters on the Amiga. So when I was like very, very small.
Was that the Mario ripoff?
Yeah. There was this Amiga lying around in my house, and I was watching my sister, my bigger sister, my older sister playing it all day. So that was my first game.
XCOM, UFO Defense.
I think my first game that I was addicted to was probably Super Mario 3 or Mega Man 2. Those.
Super Mario 3 is definitely mine. I actually haven't thought of the answer to that. I remember opening that at Christmas, and like I can see the crane shot pulling up of me falling to my knees like, thank you, Santa. Okay, if you had to guess, this one's going to be hard. If you had to guess, how many times has your PC died in Morkborg, or how many PCs have you killed if you've GM'd more than you've played?
I think that's like at least 10 times. I usually arrive by the end of the adventure with limbs missing, but I'm alive. Already really, really dead, not too many times. So I'd say more than 10, less than 20.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the number I was going to say. More than 10, less than 20.
I would say I'm mostly the GM. It's over 50 at least. It's probably 50 to 100. Like
that's what I was gonna think.
Yeah, most of them came from one session actually, or one weekend when we were playing Putrescence Regnant, and I remember we just had a pile of character sheets.
Yes,
but the players were in on it as well. Like they didn't give a shit. Like they was just like next.
Yeah, that's the
meat
vibe.
grinder. Yeah.
I might have told you this before on the show, but I remember when that album came out, and it was on Spotify, and I was working for this band. Actually, it was a couple years ago, almost to the day, because we were doing a Halloween show, and I was the front of house guy, the audio guy, so I always picked the music, and I'm like, oh, it's Halloween, I'm going to put on Putrescence Regnant, like, and the lead singer comes up, he comes to me, he's like, dude, it's like so scary in there. Can you like put something else on? And I'm like, dude, it's Halloween. Like, and so we had to like switch to like Thriller or something.
Too scary for Halloween.
Too scary for Halloween. You can quote me. Too scary for Halloween. Yeah. Okay. Favorite Morkborg class?
For me, it's easy. The Fanged Deserter.
Occult Herb Master.
Oh, if it's from the core book, it's the Gutterborn Scum. Otherwise, I probably there's a third-party class called the Cursed Blade Thrall. It's something like you're just a guy who carries around this giant sword. You can never let it go, and it's like connected to you. It's
nice,
like, cumbersome and awkward and everything, but it's very heavy, and love that class.
Favorite video game console?
The PlayStation 1.
Game Boy.
Favorite one? It's the NES. NES original, the first one.
Area of the Dying World, the area where Morkborg is set, that you would least like to vacation?
Maybe in Grift.
The Valley of the Unfortunate Undead, just because you just die for being there.
Yeah, I'd have to say the Valley as well. It's just like a lingering sadness in the air. It's the swamp from the movie Neverending Story.
Yeah,
like that's essentially it. It's just the sadness. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's flip it around. How about area of the Dying Land that you would most like to vacation?
Maybe I would go very safe with Galgenbeck.
Yeah.
Kergus, because I like cold places.
Sure.
Sarkash Forest.
I was going to say Sarkash. Spooky forests. I feel like Pella probably lives there.
It's going to be a nice glade somewhere there you can hide him.
If you were a character in a fantasy RPG, what class would you be? Not necessarily Morkborg, just you're in a fantasy D&D vanilla setting. What class are you?
Well, I'm usually the knight. Okay, so the warrior.
I don't know, the one that doesn't travel.
It's the quest giver.
Yeah, probably I will be the quest giver.
I love that quest giver.
I'll be the commoner. Just an NPC just walking around.
Just the nobody NPC. Yeah.
I want to stay out of trouble. I'll let Diego do all the fighting.
Missing. Can you find it? He's got a treasure map in his mouth.
Yeah.
No, that's Missbug. I don't have speaking lines. I'm just a background character just walking around.
Oh, and of course, the quests I gave are the boring ones, like
quests.
or stuff like my house is full of rats. Please kill 10 of them, and I will reward you with 1 silver.
Yeah.
Also, I need 9 boar hearts.
Yeah. Oh my God, we've all so many video games like that. Okay, RPG or video game setting you would most like to live in?
Silent Hill.
That's you want to live in Silent Hill?
Want to live in
I really
crazy,
love
man.
the setting. Yeah. I don't know. It's cozy. It's like I don't know.
Okay, that's wrong, but okay.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, wow.
Probably TTRPG are good.
Yeah, TTRPG or video game. Make believe setting that you want to live in.
Dragonbane.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
nice. I
nice.
like Dragonbane. Are you a duck person or not?
A mallard.
Yeah.
Stardew fucking Valley.
Oh, Stardew Valley. That's
a good
Easy
question.
answer.
That's a good question.
Easy answer.
That was a good one. Yeah. Add an entry to the "What's in the cargo hold of the Ship of the Dead" D100 table.
There's a worm, and if you eat the worm, you throw yourself out of the ship. The worm may stay inside some cheese. Okay, so you may eat the worm or drink it like with mezcal.
Gotcha.
Pile of bones tied together. No, it's bad. A golden skull.
How about a pile of bones with a golden skull underneath?
Yeah, that's true.
Nice. I like it.
I think a miniature ship of that Ship of the Dead.
Nice.
That also, and in that cargo hold is yet another.
Oh, it's Inception.
It's ships all the way down.
Shipception.
Shipception.
Favorite size die?
The 21.
Either D4 or D10.
D12. Come on.
D12, guys. Come on.
Why?
It's almost round. It's nice. It's a good distribution of, good number of.
I'm sure Johan remembers, but when I had the whole cartel basically that was at Gen Con on the show, and it was unanimous. We were all D12s, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's just it's the best die.
But the D4 is actually a weapon. The D12 is
it's
not
definitely
a
a caltrop.
Sure.
It's a caltrop.
It's terrible.
I hate the D4. Yeah,
it
doesn't roll very well. I always get the 1. I'm very unlucky with rolls.
Yeah.
Skill issue.
Favorite libation or beverage during your gaming sessions?
Beer.
Beer or whiskey.
Beer or coffee?
I've actually recently switched to coffee, and A+, especially when you're GMing, Okay, final one. Video game or computer game you've logged the most hours playing?
For me, it's Devil Daggers. Sadly, yeah.
I don't know if Darkest Dungeon or Monster Hunter 3.
Oh, nice.
It's probably still, unfortunately, World of Warcraft. I'm not sure. Maybe Binding of Isaac has climbed over.
I have not even heard of this game. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Oh, please do. It's so good.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's kind of one of those things like, it's like when you're at a band concert and you like meet some people who are all waiting for them to start as well. And you guys start chatting and then they bring up things that you've never heard of. It's like, oh, the Venn diagram of our interest is so big that I guarantee I'll like it. So where can we find out more about Mörk, Borg, Heresy Supreme?
On morbidwaregames.com.
The Kickstarter ends on Halloween, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
October 31st. So you're hearing this. You probably have 48 hours to go back. Go do it now. Go back. Smash that back button, right?
Smash that hate and subscribe button.
You've been listening to the Ship of the Dead podcast. Email your questions, comments, and buried treasure tips to shipofthedead@limithron.com. You can support the program, join our Discord server, get early access to new episodes, and instantly download hundreds of battle maps, assets, and adventures at limithron.com/Patreon. Tiers start as low as $2 a release, and you only get charged when I make something new. Pirate Borg, my rules-light, rum-infested hack of Mörk Borg, is available now at pirateborg.com and retail stores everywhere. Ship of the Dead is produced by Limithron LLC. Our audio editor is Matt Kepler, and our music is by Alexander Miller. For more, head to limithron.com.